YouTube, there is no firearms in this video.
Welcome back to the Loki Airgunner YouTube channel. In this episode I will be installing a steel breech on a Crosman 2240. Quick disclaimer, do not work on those if you are not a certified Crosman gunsmith. By the way, I did ask Crosman if a steel breech was voiding the warranty and they said no. So apparently you can install this on pretty much any Crosman pistol or 362, 3622 without voiding your warranty. Apparently. I will also be swapping the barrel for a 14.5 inch one. I do have a fair bit of buck rail goodies on there that I will need to remove first, but they also send the breech and barrel, so thank you to Buckrail for supporting this build. I do want to mention that the breech kit does come with the bolt and all you need, the wrenches and the instruction manual. I will stop wasting my time and your time and get at it. Apparently the Shoot microphone died while I was making the intro, but hopefully you can hear most of it. I will start by taking the extra accessories off. By the way, if you get this stock from Buckrail, you only need to take off one screw to put it back in pistol mode, kinda. Now I will take the optic and mounts off just because. By the way, those Buckrail mount does work very good to put optics on and they do not wobble at all. You can see my muscles working and it is really sturdy. This works for red dots and stuff, but the steel breech will be better to put a scope further away and not need a special mount or whatever. Alright, so I got those off. We got a few extras out of the way. There is no CO2 in there, and the manual does mention that you want to work on it depressurized. So step number 1 will be to make sure that it is empty. Step number 2, to put the air gun on safe. Step number 3 will be to cock the bolt and stuff, but I will take my forearm off first because I will not be able to loosen my barrel band if I don't. There is 2 screws. If you have a regular 2240, you will not need to do that. You will only need to loosen the barrel band. From what I remember, I can undo the set screw from in there. Something like it. I don't really remember how that works, to be honest. Not too sure what is happening. Ow! I can't pry it off, but it fell. I already made a video about this, but this is a very nice design. I had a bit of trouble taking it off, but it is now, I guess. I will put this screw back on and see if this is why I had issues taking it off, but I think it was mainly my fault. Alright, so I got the extras off. It took me a bit of extra time, but it's also extra fun, so it is worth it. Now what you will do is cock the bolt and grab the little wrenches that come with the breech. This is a tiny 0.05 X wrench, and they also give you a 5x64 for the set screw. You will get that in this tiny little breech screw and hope for the best. Make sure that you are as deep as you can be. I think it got loose. Yes, it did. By the way, I did this to my 1377 twice and never had an issue with stripping the screw, so I don't know. To decock it, just take the safety off, press the trigger, hold the bolt, put it back on, and then you can put it back on safety. You can now take the rear side / breech screw off. You now want to loosen both of the set screws on the barrel band. You can then lift up and slide forward to take the barrel and breech off. You will then have your transfer port, which is resting against the seal. Make sure that this doesn't fall. This is your hammer pin thingy. You can remove that when you take it apart, but I will not because I don't need to. You will need to put the bolt before that or whatever. Let's mess with that later. Basically, the only of those three pieces that we will use is the barrel band. You will also not reuse the side screw, so you can set that aside. Now let's take the extras out of the little bag. Get a replacement rear side screw, which is slightly shorter than the factory one. The steel breech one is around 18 millimeter, and the factory one is more like 21 millimeter, something like it, just so you know. By the way, the rear sight will not fit on the steel breech. You can get an LPA Crosman sight for this notch, but it is fairly expensive. Now I will take the tiny set screw that came with the breech and just put it in there. That cross thread or just a lot of Loctite? I'm not sure. You only want to make a few turns or this will prevent the barrel from actually going into the breech, but I just don't want to lose it, so it is in there now. Next I will insert the bolt in there and try to line it up with this handle that you need to screw on it. This is about what you get. Now basically you can take your barrel, insert it in there. You will clock the transfer port with the breech transfer port, and then you can use your set screw to hold that right there. Make sure that it does line up very well, or that will cause issues later with the transfer port. Basically the two holes are straight together now. Maybe I want to rotate a tiny bit. It's pretty much as close as it gets, as tight as it gets, so good enough. Right now will be about the perfect moment to use a bit of ballistol to prevent rust, because you touched it everywhere and there is some stuff that you cannot touch once you put it back together. But you might want to remove your transfer port before doing that. I'm just giving you advice. You know, maybe don't rub too much non-rubber safe ballistol on your little seal, but it is what it is. Let's wipe it off. This is only from cleaning up the tube, and we can see a little bit of rust on there. Let me look for the transfer port, I guess. Now everything is protected from rust and clean. I can now put my transfer port back in. By the way, the long part goes in the barrel and the short part goes into the seal. You can now take your breech and barrel and align it with the transfer port and cocking pin, I guess. I think I will insert the barrel band just because. That will help you holding it, I guess. You can now take your breech cover, insert that in there, make sure that all of the holes are lining up, and you can then put this rear breech screw in. You don't want that one to be too tight for now because you want to tighten the small one first. Now put the tiny infamous screw back in there. Alright, so I'll get this one fairly tight, then give this one a bit more and go back to it. Before you tighten anything too hard, just make sure that your trigger is not binding and that it works. The bolt seems to be working. I cannot get it down. Maybe that's just okay. Might just need a bit of lube. Yeah, that works. Once you can't get the tiny screw any tighter, just stop or you will strip it like the other guys do. Double check this one. I will put some oil on this O-ring before I shove it in there too many times dry. I will also put some oil on the bolt itself. By the way, this is Airgun oil, aka the recommended Crosman oil. It has made a huge difference in the feel, and you do want stuff to be well lubricated, to work right. Now you will only tighten your barrel band back, but I got a few other accessories, so that's a little bit more complicated. Usually you will only put your barrel band where you want it, but I believe I cannot choose the position of it because this is how the forearm attaches. This is a pretty nice design. You get some sort of set screw. Now you got this piece that goes on top of it that you want to line up in there. I will take this screw out first because that will not work right. By the way, this is the frame screw and it doesn't work exactly like a 1377. It doesn't seem to hold the tube as much. Alright, now I can put that back on there, slide that backwards until it is about where I want it. Get that one semi-tight. And then I will tighten the set screw for the barrel band because it is now where it needs to be. You can tighten the set screw with this smaller wrench in the middle of the thingy, I guess. It is now secured. I believe this one also goes into the insert and locks everything together. Yeah, it does. And basically all I need to do now is put my accessories back on and you got a longer barrel on a Crosman. Alright, so I got my accessories back on there. I did swap the 2-piece style buckrel scope mount for a 1-piece because it fits really well in between the breech and barrel band. We still got the folding adjustable stock, the grips, and the forearm. You could tap this front side off of this barrel and use it on the other one, but that doesn't really make sense because if you don't have a rear side, it is useless. What I will use instead is this buckrail adapter for Crosmans and this Spears custom parts, custom muzzle brake that he made for me. This muzzle brake is both threaded and has a set screw, so I will not really need that, but I think it will look cool. This will be about it for today. Hope this video was helpful. You can leave a like or comment if you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more 2240 videos. The only thing that I don't like about today's upgrade is that it doesn't fit on the wall anymore. Anyways, thanks for watching and I will see y'all in the next one, and hopefully my 2240 will be back on the wall.